Okay, we're continuing our 1950s study, even though we did have our Decade Day already. We kind of ran out of time. We're doing On the Road with Burma Shave, advertising in the 50s. It's a little different. It's kind of lighthearted. Your parents probably don't remember this. Your grandparents probably will. I do. Unfortunately, I'm probably old enough for your grandparents, which is sad in a way. Now that I think about it. But life is what it is.
Is there only one person
Okay? So, here we go. Okay? All right. If you walked into a place with turquoise and pink walls and black and white tiled floors, you might have wandered into the 1950s. Color was a big part of the 50s attitude. A few years down the road, the 60s would bend the mind with psychedelic colors and the sensual overload of hard rock music. The 50s were not quite so chaotic. Their cheery colors were bright and harmonious, like the early rock and roll songs of that time. In the 60s, actually, Andrew, you put his eye out. In the 60s, you go into the shag carpet that is this nasty green or orange looking. Appliances are yellow or green or orange looking. Everything is like, if you don't know what shag carpet is, it's when they don't make it nice and tight like it is probably in your house. It's about that thick. Yeah, it's nice and smooth, but Okay. Anyway, besides pink and turquoise, the 50s produced plenty of fads. Okay, you had the hula hoops, the Davy Crockett gear, captivated the youngsters. Teenage boys went crazy for hot rods, which of course is souped up cars. Flat top haircuts.
Yes, sir.
Being cool. Girls would help to the like of pedal pushers. Pedal pushers are the what is known as capri. Today they were the shorter pants. Not short, but they came down below the knee, but they were cut off between the knee and the ankle, basically. That was pedal pusher. So you could ride a bicycle. Okay? I don't understand why everyone is talking when I'm talking, and then start hollering, wait, don't go, I haven't got all this written down yet. Okay? All right. You had poodle skirts, ponytails, and pretty much anything pink. And we got a good variety of that. You guys did a good job. I didn't get a chance to tell you Friday. A lot of y'all did a really good job. Some of you had on the poodle skirts. A lot of the girls had on pink. Things of that nature. That was Andrew and Will was very much the greaser there with their leather jackets and all.
Half the guys wore white shirts.
Yeah, you guys did a great job on that. All right. Actually, the 50s era was the first to have a distinct teen culture. Okay? Before then, most teens got zapped right from childhood into adult responsibilities. Okay? Kids made that early leap to maturity for one compelling reason. If they did work, their incomes were important to the family survival. Okay? So if a teenager back in these days, in the 30s and 40s, were working, what they made actually went to the family to help buy groceries and pay bills and things like that. They did not get to keep their money. It was not just extra money for them to spend. They actually had to help support the family. The 50s rolls around, and all of a sudden now when a teenager gets a job, in most cases, it's his money. They can keep it.
Because we recovered, we started to recover in the 50s.
Exactly. We were recovering. People was actually had money to spend for the first time. Okay?
In like 20 years.
All right. So, but the 50 years weren't nearly, I'm sorry, I hear myself. But the 50, again, I'm sorry, I hear myself. I should not be hearing you. Okay? All right, but the 50 years weren't nearly as lean as the earlier decades. So also fewer families made their living on the farms, where the sheer volume of work turned teens into full-time laborers. Okay? I told you before, that is why, I'm convinced that's why my parents had 5 children was because it was free labor. I'm kidding. My parents.
I mean, a lot of people, that was the
My,
reason.
well, it was. I mean, truthfully, we did go to work on farm, but my parents left us, obviously. I mean, it's not like that's not like they had kids. All right.
Here's your shovel.
Many teenagers. Thank you. Only if it worked, right? All right. Many teenagers in the 50s had jobs, but few had to hand their earnings over to make the family ends meet. Instead, the 50 dads usually brought home the bacon, okay? In other words, he was making enough money. A lot of the moms in the 50s were able to stay at home. They were housewives. Now, everybody thinks that's an easy job, but if you've ever had to help clean, grocery shop, do the laundry, on and on and on, that's a full-time, and look after little snot-nosed youngins, that's a full-time job, okay? Your mom now does it and holds down a job also probably, so
Yep.
kudos to mom. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Hopefully you gave her a big hug and told her how much you appreciate her. All right, now, so they made them a tempting target for advertisers, okay? So at this time, television was taking the U.S. by storm, so TV ads were actually tugged like a powerful magnet on the coins of the pocket of teens. I love the person who wrote this. What they're trying to say is, for the first time, teenagers had money in their pocket that they could spend on what they wanted. So advertisements are now geared toward those teenagers, a lot of it, okay? Hey, this is what you need. Think about today, you know, toys aimed at little kids, right? Trying to get the kid to beg the parent for it. The fancy cars are aimed at, you know, older people who are looking for a luxury car. So each thing is targeted towards a certain age group.
Yeah, that's why you get that's why you get spam calls from a guy like every day.
Yep.
Hey, you have one that hit it?
All right, now, so, grooming products, snacks, fashions, and cars were pitched to young people. Many catchy slogans stuck like pocket lint to the minds of the American kids.
Come on down.
Soft drink sellers, guys, I am not talking over you. Soft drink sellers competed to find the magic jingle that would open up young people's pocketbook. Pepsi blurts boasted that it was the soda with more bounce to the ounce. They also, one of my favorite ones that they had was, and I told y'all this,
10, 2, and 4.
cost a nickel, worth a dime. It made it sound like you were getting a deal if you bought theirs.
And
Okay?
10, 4, and 2.
Yeah, and Dr. Pepper was 10, 2, and 4. Yeah.
I think I remember a Pepsi commercial where the kid goes up to the vending machine, but he's too short to hit the Pepsi button. So he puts in the 2 nickels, gets Coke, and then puts it in the stand to reach the button, and then takes the Pepsi and just walks.
Yeah. I
He's like,
think I do remember
I think
that.
it's like, gets drunk.
All right, now,
Stop it.
later came the more sophisticated Pepsi, the light refreshment. And Pepsi's chief competitor responded by asserting that Coca-Cola make good things taste better.
Wait, what?
So if you could have the best hamburger in the world, but if you had a Coke to go with it, it made that best hamburger in the world even better
What?
because you had a Coke.
That's why I have Coke with my nephew.
Yeah.
Coke with
All
the
right.
pancakes.
Now, one candy company might win the Test of Time award. This is one you're going to see tomorrow. 50 years after the jingle was first aired, most any kid in America could tell you which candy
M&M.
melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
M&M.
As M&M. It's still their slogan today.
Wait.
Okay, it's still their slogan today.
Ching, ching.
Okay? All right. All right. 14 days.
We're getting a little trigger happy there.
All right. Actually, no, y'all was chit-chatting instead of writing, and then when Adam moves it up, that's when you start screaming, "Why? Why?" Here's thought. When it's up there and I'm talking, that's when you're writing, not talking to your friends. I'm just saying. Braxton, pull your mask up. Yes.
Okay, so it's 14 days. 14 days is 2 weeks, right? Yes.
Well, 14 days is 2 weeks if we go Saturday and Sunday.
Taylor, my dad says there's.
It will behoove you.
But there's 14 days. I'm like, what? I don't know why you say there's 3 weeks.
How is your dad the headmaster?
That's when you gotta learn how to carry the decimal. All right, here we go. Hopefully all the candy and soda would make kids' teeth think about reaching for the toothpaste.
No.
If not, they would be promoted by advertisers. One toothpaste would fit right in with today's push for bright and white teeth.
Colgate.
This 50 ads offered you just healthy teeth, but attractive smiles.
Colgate. I'm guessing.
You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Pepsodent was the name of the toothpaste. So you'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. So it made your teeth white.
Wow.
Because drinking coffee, soda, eating candy stains your teeth. Okay? All right. Guys, please stop. Okay? Please. Okay? There are a few other jingles from the 50s that would sound familiar to most people today. To convince buyers that their timepieces were tough, the writer said, Timex takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And they used to do live advertisements, and they would do all kinds of things. They would take these Timexes out and be going down the road in a car, and they would throw it out the window, and it would go bouncing off, and then they would go find it. And of course, it's in the box. And they would go find it and show you, zoom in on it, and it's still ticking. And just things like that.
To show you the power of flex tape, I
Okay.
saw this boat now.
Pretty basically that same mentality. All right. One example of a long-lasting slogan must be spoken in deep, gravelly bass tones to be authentic. And that was the 1950s Smokey the Bear. Okay? And he reminds us that only you can prevent forest fire.
Tell us to Cal Fire, man. They're killing teenagers left and right.
Well, Smokey the Bear was actually came from a cub that had a bear cub that had been saved from a forest fire. They had rescued it, and they named it Smokey. And then they started using that image and he had on his little forest ranger hat, and he held his shovel.
Is he still
And,
alive?
and of course, it was just a cartoon picture. It wasn't a real bear
I
thing.
mean,
It was
we were like in like some other city in North Carolina, and we saw this Smokey the Bear sign that said levels, medium, moderate, high. And I'm like, okay, about that.
All right. Some ads from the 50 eras were masterpiece and questionable poetry. Brill cream, okay? For you guys that were pretending to be greasers the other day, this is what you would have used, okay? Brill cream was a kind of lotion that men rubbed into their hair to give it that slick back look. This hair could then be pasted into famous 50 ducktail hairdos. When finished, the do was truly a monument to grease, both the movie and the actual hair, because it was nice and greasy. We're talking shiny, greasy. The Brill cream ad writers outdid themselves with this charming ditty. Okay, it was Brill cream, a little dab a do ya. Brill cream, you look so debonair. Brill cream, the gals all will pursue you. They love to run their fingers through your hair.
I mean, everybody does that.
Eve. I can't. Eve.
Who rubs their hands in their hair?
Septum.
All right.
I don't think people ever do.
Okay.
that.
Sixth graders. Who would do that?
And then proceeds to do this.
Yeah, that's Adam. Adam can't do it. Come on, Adam.
Who would snuggle up with a girl? Ew.
That's where
Real high
Alright.
voices in the middle, like.
All right.
You need dreads.
No.
You look like
In a contest for the most original advertising campaign, the hands-down winner of the 50s, and maybe all time, actually went to Burma Shave. That's an aftershave lotion, okay? Burma Shave ads was painted on these little signs. They didn't have the big billboards like you're thinking about today.
Is that,
It
it's like
was, it was
Sister
little
Brown?
signs, and they did rhymes. And every 30 yards or 30 feet or so down the road, they had a different one, and people would drive, because you gotta remember, most of the roads that they do this on, of course, are the country roads. You know, you don't have Interstate 40 where they got these things out there.
They had down
These are little
billboards now.
2-lane roads, and as you're going down, you're reading these signs, because you don't have bumper-to-bumper traffic and all this stuff in the rural areas like you do today, okay?
Sad.
But they were painted on signs, but the signs weren't huge skyline splitting billboards. They were modest little squares about eye level, posted along the highway fence line. So you had to pay attention or you would drive by and you might miss them. But from time to time, the first little red and white signs were posted, people started to notice them. In fact, locating and reading the Burma Shade signs was sort of a family sport. Because the Burma Shade people came up with pitchy sayings for their ads and then strung the sayings out over several consecutive signs. Okay? Families watched for the sign series and made a game of reading them out loud. By the time you got to the last one, you really wanted to know the end of the saying, and they put some in. And it was, I can remember being, as a little kid,
That was a long time.
going by, that was a long time ago.
That was in like the 90s.
That was 60-some years ago,
That was
but
in like the 90s.
I do remember these.
Who cares if they
here
have
was
a
one.
90s?
But they always ended with Burma Shade, okay? His cheek. That would be, and all these are on, you know, this is on sign 1, sign 2, sign 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So you would see his cheek, and then it would go, was rough. His chick vamoosed, which means she took off. And now she won't come home to roost. See, birds goes home to roost, and then it would go Burma Shade. So it's just a silly little rhyme. Okay. But because he didn't use Burma Shade,
His girl left him.
his stubbles was real rough, so his girlfriend left him. Okay, that's what he's saying.
should have used Burma.
All right, lift it up a little bit.
That is so good.
All right, Adam, lift it up some. All right. Another one was the well put Jonah down the hatch, but coughed him up because he scratched. Because his beard was rough, Burma Shave, okay? So they were selling you, trying to get you to be clean shaven.
You can have that one guy in the car.
Okay? All right, so the trademark red and white signs did more than sell shaving cream. Some signs promoted travelers to drive safely. Okay? Although you're insured, remember, kiddo, they don't pay you, they pay your widow. In other words, if you're in a car wreck and you get killed,
You're
you
playing your
get
wife.
nothing, that your wife would get the money. That's what it's pointing out. So, you know, in other words, be careful when you're
They
driving.
don't pay you,
Okay.
they pay your widow.
All right?
Is this
All
Burma
right.
Shave?
Trains approaching, whistle squealing, pause aboard that rundown filling.
Burma
Burma
Shave.
Shave. All right, and it is time for you guys to go.
I'm ready to answer for the test.
We'll go hold it before the test.
Okay.
It took longer to do this today than I thought. I can look at yours right now and tell you. Okay. Yep.
Did you hear me telling Hart about the duck? This morning when I was right here.